In London, there are many wonderful places to see, many wonderful things to see. You can think of Big Ben, the big clock tower. You can think of London Bridge. There is Westminster Abbey, which is indeed very beautiful. But there are places that can mean something for us as Baptists specifically. And there's a place that at least has some significance to us. It's a cemetery, of all things, or a burial place. It's called Bunsfield Burial Place, or Cemetery. And it is very old. It's actually, its original name was probably something more like Bones Hill Field. But as time went by, it became a place for burial for those that were not deemed worthy to go into consecrated ground. That is, burial areas set apart for those in the Church of England. Well, guess what? Baptists would fit that bill. We did not conform to the teachings of the Church of England or the ways of the Church of England. So we were deemed as dissenters or nonconformists. And so many well-known important Baptists within British history are actually buried in Buns Hill Field. Among these would be the great theologian John Gill, as well as a very important Baptist minister by the name of William Kiffin. But another one, and this is one that I find most interesting, is a Baptist minister by the name of John Bunyan. Now that name may sound familiar, and it should. He was the author of the wonderful classic called Pilgrim's Progress. He wrote that book, and to this day it is considered a masterpiece of English literature. It's one of the most important pieces of English literature in history. In fact, there are scholars of that specific book that aren't even Christian. They still identify how important of an English work it was. But John Bunyan was an interesting fellow. He was a Baptist preacher that ended up in prison for more than 12 years over different time periods. He was devoted to his faith and wasn't willing to give it up despite calls to do so. In fact, it even it took away time from his family. And he became a prolific writer, not just from Pilgrim's Progress, which is a fictionalization of the Christian life, but many other works, about 60 works. And he honed his skill while in prison. We oftentimes consider persecution and difficulty to hinder us, but instead, some of the great Baptists of the past, it helped them, it pushed them, it helped them not only to endure, but to focus all the more on what the work that needed to be done. To tell you how much he put into it, some of what he would write, he would actually write with milk while in prison. Now that sounds odd, with milk. I bet that was interesting. But when the milk would sour, or with the use of fire, it could help take a secret message or something he had written that he didn't want the authorities to know, and it could be made available to those that could help put it together for him. John Bunyan is an amazing figure within Baptist history. We wouldn't agree with everything he said, but we definitely have to recognize the work that he did. But in this field, this cemetery, there is maybe about 123,000 or more people that are buried there, some of which are Baptists. But we don't know where all of their markers should go, because it was bombed during World War II. So it's made a little bit of difficulty in trying to see where things go. But there is a memorial that highlights John Bunyan, recognizes his important place within British history, within English history, if you will. Well, let's not forget his place within Baptist history, and let it spur to us that not only do we have distinctions as Baptists, but no matter what difficulties come in our way, we should have the devotion to keep going. And whether people like it or don't, may we make our devotion towards God, may we be willing to follow God no matter what comes, and put it all out so that our lives are full in service to God.